Joining me now from the Knesset is Naphtali Bensimon, a former journalist and Likud party member. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. I'd like to ask you a few questions about the French election. First of all, what does Macron mean? What does his victory mean for French-Israeli relations?
This is a very, very important signal that the French-Israeli relation will be, well, if not the same, will improve very much, because that's for sure. There is a big relief here in the Knesset, a great satisfaction from the results, and the vast majority of the members of the Knesset wanted that Emmanuel Macron will be the next president. And of course, the road of the France-Israeli relationship will improve very much. We have to remember that 2 years ago, as the Minister of Economy, Emmanuel Macron was here in Israel in a visit, and he met the Prime Minister Netanyahu, and he was very impressed from what he saw. He said, this is something that we would like to have with same in France, the initiative, the entrepreneurs, the economy. And this is something that will play a great role in the next meeting between Macron, the president, and Netanyahu, prime minister.
Well, that kind of brings me into something I was thinking about. You know, if you have Macron, the president of France, who is very supportive of Israeli businesses and Israeli entrepreneurship, but at the same time, he's a proponent of labeling settlement goods, while at the same time saying he wasn't pro-BDS. So where do you think that his stance on that will be?
Well, I can tell you that in spite of all those slogans or kind of statements which made by French authorities or French Quai d'Orsay, which is the Foreign Affairs Office, about the settlements, about the BDS or something like that, the challenges that Macron face are totally different, and they are not concerning necessarily a few specific things like settlements or BDS. He wants to change the road of France. He wants to improve the economy. He wants to reduce the unemployment. He needs to bring back France to its natural place as a superpower. He needs to face the Islamic terror in France. So those are a very, very huge question, and I don't think that those kind of difficulties or nuance between France and Israel about the settlements or something like that will change. It will change its own policy. What I'm saying is that Macron was here in Israel. He's a great supporter of Israel, and he thinks and he believes that Israel, this is kind of a miracle or a wonder here in this area. And there is a lot of things that France and Israel can do together in the under Macron administration.
So I guess my last question is a two-parter for you. First, how, with Marine Le Pen's National Front Party having had such a big impact, I mean, she did win about a third of the vote, a little bit more. How does that emergence of the National Front Party reflect on France's position towards religious minorities like Jews and Muslims? That's my first part.
Yeah, well, nothing to do with it. Yes, it's true that Marine Le Pen got around 34%. Those are percentage from the rural part of France, the agriculture, some young frustrations, but they are not something that should inflect or change the French policy towards Israel or to Eurozone. So I believe that Macron will create a new government, and the Front National of Marine Le Pen will not have any kind of impact in spite of this kind of, huge percentage that she got, but nothing to do with the new government, no influence. So I'm sure that Macron will get not only a great majority, but a carte blanche, as the French likes to say, to change its country and to do something that Hollande didn't do in his last 5 years. And I can tell you that Macron, like Trump, or he has so much to do that Le Pen is the minor problem of him. He needs to bring back France as a superpower in Europe and in the world.
So that actually brings me to part two of my final question, is that if Macron needs to bring, to unify France in a sense, part of that will have to be winning over that third of French citizenry that voted for Le Pen. How can he appeal to that portion of the vote, of the electorate?
Well, as you can imagine, he's, as you saw, he's young, he's talented. He has a great teacher, which is also his wife, and he's a brilliant guy. I can tell you that everyone that met him says that this is something unique that we see in the world politics, and I'm sure that he will unite all the French people, and he will do some reforms and to make the French people more satisfied and less depressed that they are in usual days.
All right. Thank you so much, Naphtali Bensimon. Thanks for joining me.
Welcome.